In this video, Multiplying Fractions Part 2, we're going to focus on problems that involve multiplying a fraction with a mixed number, and we're also going to practice word problems. Let's take a look at this problem. 2/5 of 1 3/4. Remember that word of there means we're going to be multiplying. So this is really 2/5 times 1 3/4. Once we've established that's what we're doing, we need to look at the instructions in the little green box and see, okay, what's our first step? And when we have a mixed number in the problem, our first step is to change the mixed number into an improper fraction. So you may remember that to do this, we're going to kind of boomerang around. I'm going to do 4 times 1. And then, once we get that number, we'll add 3 to that, and that will give us our new numerator, and the denominator will stay the same. So 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7, and then the denominator stays the same, it's 4. So 1 3/4 is the same thing as 7/4. So now we can rewrite the problem, 2/5 times 7/4. And then from here on out, the rest of the process is the same. We're going to look at our diagonal pairs. So I'm looking at these two numbers. Is there anything other than 1 that goes evenly into both 7 and 5? No. So I write those off out to the side of the little boxes. And then I look at my other diagonal pair, 2 and 4. Is there anything other than 1 that goes evenly into both 2 and 4? Yes, 2 goes evenly into both. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So now we multiply straight across numerator times numerator, and I get 7 as my numerator in my answer. And then denominator times denominator, 5 times 2 is 10, so that's the new denominator. Now we look and see, can we simplify the answer, or are there any improper fractions that need to be changed back to mixed numbers? Well, 7/10 is already simplified. It's in its simplest form, and it is not an improper fraction, so that is our final answer for this problem. All right, so now in this problem we have two mixed numbers, which means we have to convert both of the mixed numbers into improper fractions before we can start our multiplication process. So we have 4 3/4. If we do our little boomerang thing, 4 times 4 is 16, plus 3 is 19. So this is 19/4. Then we need to do 3 1/2. Same process. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, so 3 1/2 is the same thing as 7/2. So now we can say, okay, 19/4 times 7/2. So from here on out, I would like you to do this problem on your own, meaning follow the steps, and then when you're done, why don't you go ahead and press play, and we'll check your answer in the video. So pause the video to work it out and then press play to check. All right, my friends, the answer to this problem is 16 5/8. Now, some of you may have gotten 133/8 and stopped there, so you understand how to multiply fractions. You just forgot the last step, which is to change improper fractions back to mixed numbers. So, of course, you can see right over here how I did that. 133 divided by 8. I found out how many times 8 went into 133, and that was my whole number. And then the numerator is the leftovers, and the denominator is 8. So 16 5/8 is the answer to this question. Let's try a word problem. And remember, we need to use our nosy. So first, let's read the problem all the way through without making any marks. 1/2 of the class wants to play a softball game. 2/3 of those who want to play the game wish to play it on Tuesday. What fraction of the whole class wanted the game on Tuesday? So now that we've read it, we can go back through and highlight the question, which is, what fraction of the whole class wanted the game on Tuesday? And then we need to go back through and find any other important information. We need to know that 1/2 of the class wants to play. We also need to know that 2/3 of that half want to play on Tuesday. So that's 2/3 of 1/2. And what operation does that word of indicate? If you said multiplication or you thought it, then you are correct. So this really means 2/3 times 1/2. And you guys are totally capable of doing this on your own. So I'm going to have you finish this problem on your own and we're going to check it in class. All right, now let's try for a multi-step problem, which is a word problem in which we have to do a few different things. A paint store has 35 gallons of paint in storage, 2/5 of which are for outdoor use. The others are for indoor use. If each gallon costs $22, what is the total cost of the indoor paint in storage? So I'm going to highlight the question, what is the total cost of the indoor paint? And I'm going to underline that just to make sure that I know that that's what it's asking, because that's important. Now we go back through the problem. We do need to know 35 gallons of paint. We need to know 2/5 of the 35. And then eventually we're going to need to know how much each gallon costs. So we have 2/5 of 35 gallons are for outdoor use. Our first step is to multiply to find out how many gallons of paint is for outdoor use. So we're going to do 2/5 times 35. And remember, with whole numbers, we write whole numbers as fractions by using a whole number as the numerator and 1 as the denominator. Go ahead and pause the video to solve step 1 and then press play to continue. Now we know that 14 gallons are for outdoor use. But again, if we look back at the question, it's asking about indoor use. So we need to subtract to find how many gallons of paint are for indoor use. So this means 35 minus 14, and that's 21 gallons. So 21 gallons for indoor. And then that's not the final answer because the question is, what is the total cost? Now we need to go back in the problem and remember that it says each gallon costs $22. So we have 21 gallons that are $22 each. What operation do you think we are going to do? Hopefully you said multiply. All right, and so this one I want you to go ahead and finish on your own. We'll check it in class. Once you do that, don't forget that you do have the questions section where you either need to write a question of confusion or a problem for your group to solve, one or the other.